did the Self-Reliance class in my stake, in the Mount Vernon Stake, what happened, I was totally inspired, and I felt like the Lord was talking to me about education. And all my life, I always wanted to be a midwife, but didn't have the self-confidence and didn't have that know-how because of the fact that I never had a degree. I never thought that I could achieve a degree. But I followed the promptings, and as I go through 12 weeks of my self-reliance class, it becomes stronger and stronger and more clear to me that this is what the Lord wants from me.
It began with my visit, my home teacher walking up to me and inviting me, giving me the invitation to the class. And I just want to let you guys know that when I walked into that self-reliance class group, like you guys are sitting here tonight, I know that I was supposed to be there that night. And that this program has definitely been constructed by the Lord for us right now. And so as we go, we sat down, we had the discussions around the table. I start to get like, oh, I like this. And I start to like ease myself into it. And by the time we, at the end of the, and we started picking groups, I didn't know what, but I was impressed that I wanted to do education. So I joined a group to do education because I'm a single mother of 3 growing kids who have all graduated from college, and I did not go to college, but I supported them. And I always had the desire that I wanted to go back to school because I lived in the prison of life. I'm not good enough because I have not completed college, despite I had jobs and had great jobs as an assistant or analyst. I never felt good enough in my life. And so I said, I chose education. And as the weeks progress and as we go through our classes, I just felt the Spirit so strongly that I should become a midwife. So I talked to my facilitators, and I said, I want to do midwifery. And but as you guys know, as you go through the program, you see the steps we take. But right now, I have done those steps, 8 weeks into the program. It has been a total blessing to me. It was like spiritual therapy. And it got me on the path to where I want to go. Right now, I have, like I said, completed 8 weeks in the program. I'm on track to go to midwife in Salt Lake, to start my prerequisites, to become a nurse. And I'm packing up my house right now to move to Salt Lake after being in my state for 5 years. And I just want to tell you that I know if we just open our hearts and our mind, the Spirit could talk to you. Because I know the day I was in class, and I know I had to do this, and I know that. I burst into tears when I get that revelation, because it's a hard thing to do for me to have to move my life across the country, but I know this is what the Lord wants me to do. And He wants me to, He has a bigger calling for me. He has a better calling for me. I don't know what it is, but I know right now it's to go to school and become a midwife. And I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. So I decided to move to Utah. I didn't have an apartment, but one of the ladies in my ward said to me, hey, Donna, I heard you're moving to Salt Lake. Where are you going to be staying? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, well, you could stay with my parents. I was like, okay. So I emailed her parents. I stayed with them for 3 weeks. When I told them I want to stay for 3 weeks when I get to Salt Lake, and I was going to attend BYU Salt Lake. But when I got here, and first of all, on my way, I drove to Utah from Northern Virginia. And I've seen the Lord hands in my life, whereas I never had to stay one night at a hotel. It's like friend tell friends tell friends, and I stayed at friends of friends of friends all the way. It took me 5 days, and I stayed in Iowa at a friend of a friend. I stayed in, at the end of my first 8-hour drive in Virginia, I stayed in Indiana at a friend of a friend. I stayed in Colorado at a friend of a friend, and by the time I arrived in Utah, I stayed with my my friend's mom and dad. But before I arrived, my friend Sandy went and looked at an apartment for me, and I got a studio apartment in Salt Lake to rent. So I only stayed my 3 weeks, and then the apartment was ready. I started there. Then I went to meet with a counselor at BYU Salt Lake. And as I'm sitting talking to the counselor, and I tell her, hey, I got financial aid. I don't have a whole lot of money. This is what I have. She's like, you know what? There is a program that I think you will be qualified for at LDS-BC, which was right across the hall. So we walked over there, and I met with the counselors over there, and I was talking to the counselor, and a woman was standing there with him as I was telling him my situation. And she said, you know what? We have a single parent scholarship. You should apply for it. And I was like, okay, what do I do? She said, write me. She says, hey, I'm the head of the scholarship program for single parents, and you sound like you qualified. Go to your bishop, get a recommend, write me a letter. I did that, and within 2 days, I was registered and attending classes at LDS-BC. And on a single parent scholarship, I paid nothing. My financial aid money came in to help me pay my rent because I didn't have a job and couldn't hold a job at that time. And that's how my journey at LDS-BC started. I always questioned it, like, wow, why didn't I do this before? Or why didn't this happen before? But as I travel this journey, I am recognizing more and more why I am here at this point in time in my life and why he called me to do this in my life. I just want to say that I know that when we listen to our Heavenly Father, that we don't have to work out the details. All we have to do is move as he says, and he will direct our path. And he will take care of all the little tiny details in our lives. And I did not know how all this was going to be paid for, how it was going to happen. But I know what I felt when I was taking my Self-Reliance class. And I know that it was going to be okay. I didn't know the details, but I testify that if we just follow our Heavenly Father's plan and listen to his call, that we're going to be okay.